Welcome back to the Social Work Race, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, it's a privilege to do this. This was an idea a few years ago, and the Social Work Race has become a reality. I'm going to do a podcast soon on chasing your dreams, I guess. And what on earth has that got to do with social work? It's got a lot to do with it. I had a long conversation with a good colleague of mine, now friend, about this. So that's where the Social Work Race came from. It came from me really just going beyond what I felt I should do or could do. And it's actually gone, I guess, against what even other colleagues and other fellow social workers feel that is right. Some social workers have been against it and against my TikTok account. Actually, we're bringing social work to the people, and there's a degree of reality that needs to be brought to the people about social work, because it's just on its back foot. It's not supported entirely by government. I think they've put us there as just a neck on a block kind of thing. So we're there to take the heat. That's what we are. We're a heat shield. So let's bring social work to the people and make social work less of a hated thing. I go there as myself. I present myself as myself on social media, and I want people to know that we're human and the challenges that we face. So we had a really intense discussion yesterday, and that brought tears to some eyes. And the question by one of my colleagues was asked to my manager, which was, have you ever faced death in social work? Like, have any children died on your watch? And she said yes. And we went into a couple of the stories. And the story I was on the edge of tears because, it wasn't just that it was a child, it was the whole story behind it and how it happened. And it was just, I think, when you hear about children dying on your watch whilst they're in your caseload, and the details of it, because we as social workers are exposed to the details of it. We're not just exposed to the facts. Johnny died. No, we're exposed to every single detail. We're in touch with the families that are either neglectful, or it could be a case of misunderstanding or a disease, parents being incapable of meeting the needs of the child. Yeah, we're exposed to every blade of grass that grows in that situation. And the thought came to me, and I think I did say it as well, what we are not prepared for, especially as students, is the fact that there's a high chance, especially if you work in an assessment team, you're going to be exposed to the death of a child. The thing that comes just before that is removing a child from a family, which happens, but not often. But in terms of the death of a child, then it can happen, it can happen, at any time and as often as it likes. It hasn't happened to me. Placing a child in care, I've done that a few times, yes. But not young children. I haven't done that yet. I've worked with them a lot, yes. But I haven't had to be a part of the process of removing a child. No. Would I say I'm fortunate? I don't know. But I would say that it is one of the scary things, because there's a lot of tears, especially if a child is being taken from their home to a placement, either by the police or yourself, and they're crying for their parents who are really not good for them, or have been abusing or neglecting them. The child will still cry. That is difficult. But when a child dies, it's a scary thing. And we were talking about this and saying, we're not prepared for this. We just have to learn how to cope with it when we get there. If you're a permanent worker, this is one of the details and dilemmas of it. If you're a permanent worker, you may get some time off, compassionate leave maybe. But if you're an agency worker, you either have to get on with it or take some time off and lose some money. And I've not heard this spoken about in social work. So it's like we are almost just a forgotten people, because if we have to constantly revisit these traumas as humans, professionals, how are we supported? And how are agency staff supported in that process without losing their income? You know? The other part of it was this, and this is just a reflection, I guess. The other part of it was this, that we go to bed at night with a caseload, and there may often be a family or two on your caseload that you fear the child dying because of the parental neglect or abuse. And you're thinking, not just, are they going to die on my watch? Because they're on a child protection plan or a child in need plan. And listen, let's be honest. I'm thinking, if it happens to me, what will the media and the government do to me? As they have done before. You know? That happened with Sharon Shoesmith, right? The government allowed her to be a lamb to the slaughter. They didn't stand up for her at all. Their local authority, their heads, they did not stand up for her. When she was a newly qualified social worker and given a crazy case, who stood up for her when the child died? And it wasn't even her fault. Do you know what I mean? That's a concern. Every social worker's thinking, well, am I next? Is that child going to be lost on my watch? And to double the trouble, is the government going to sell me off to the people? That is a concern. And I guess this is a call, and this is why I'm doing this platform, a call to the government to really treat us differently, because they've treated social workers awfully, and they are now responsible for us directly through Social Work England. You know, when we have suspicions about a family, we can't just, we're not empowered to, and I'm not asking that we are empowered to remove a child as social workers. I think I addressed this in a previous podcast. I don't want any more power. Actually, it was on a live session on Instagram Live. Should social workers have more power? I think not. Social workers don't need any more power. Not that they have any anyway. We have good checks and balances in the system. It doesn't always work well, but we have the best that there is. And I would say that when we have strong suspicions about a situation, how many times do we want to rip families apart because of our suspicions? Just so that we know that, well, that child is still alive. You know, we're going to create a lot more problems doing that. But what could be worse than a problem of a death? So what I'm saying is that this dilemma is that we don't know how to handle this fully. But it is a problem when we don't know how to manage death. There isn't enough coaching or preparation for bereavement for when a child dies on our watch. It's not just the parents, it's the social worker too. Less so, yes. But yeah, those are my reflections. I guess I'm ranting about the fact that we are getting ready for something that's almost inevitable. If you stay in an assessment team or any child protection team, localities team, you'll probably come across this. It's a low chance because not many children die in this country due to their parents. But it could be me one day. Yeah, that's my reflection. So I would say, something I do is I prepare in my mind what if. I'm a what if kind of person. And I do a lot of internalizing and some externalizing. I explore how I would feel, why I would feel. And, I would hate for it to happen to me, to anybody. The loss of a child is a big thing in our country. A big thing. Just take care of yourselves, And, sorry, actually, I did want to talk about this very briefly. This does inform, the fear of losing a child does inform how we practice, how we explore a family. And the truth is, at least for some of us, the truth is that when we are exploring a family, we are also thinking, if I leave this house, in fact, I've said it to parents as well, if I leave this house, will I sleep at night? Knowing that I think this child is safe. I have said that to a number of parents. I think it's a fair thing to say. I'm here for a reason. I know you are concerned or you are frustrated yourself. But if I leave this house, what does the safety plan mean? I remember there was a case actually where I said it to the mother. This safety plan has to mean something, or I have to call the police. You have to convince me that we are good and safe. We pulled the family together. We had a family network meeting. I broke it down in detail. Because when that video call ended, I was gone. I was not there the night or the following days. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I was really concerned, but if we had put in place the safety plan that we had, and I haven't gone into the details of that, if it wasn't for that safety plan, I would be calling the police, and I was on the edge. I had the police with me. We had long discussions in the night about how we felt we should proceed. It wasn't only my decision, it was a joint decision, and we managed to pull it together. We've worked really well with the family. But yeah, that's like, the fear of losing a child is a part of my practice. Do you get that? The fear of death is what drives some of my decisions. Is that a bad thing? That's another debate. It's a good question to ask. But I don't think we can say it's all about safety. It's really like, well, what does that mean in practice? In literal practice, it means that you build a safety plan so that you can sleep at night. And if you're not 100% comfortable with that safety plan, in fact, you cannot be 100% comfortable with a safety plan where there's physical assault or some level of abuse. You cannot be 100% safe with it. It's not. But you've got to come up with the best ideas to make it work. And that safety plan will create some discomfort for the family. But you got to also think as well, like, when I walk away, am I comfortable with what I've just said, what we've agreed? Is it realistic? Is it going to work? You got to ask those questions. And that's the reality of working with the fear of death in social work. Yeah, I'm glad I spoke about that. Get ready for it, and if whatever you can do with the notion of the fear of losing a child, I want to encourage you that it can be a good driving force to be fearful of loss, because really we're trying to save lives. We're not here to perform. We're not here to just look good. We are here to save lives. Just like the nurses, just like the surgeons, just like the ambulance teams, we are here to save lives. So, yeah, plan accordingly. Hope that helps. Take care of yourselves.